Hello, everyone. This is Chip Moore. I'm glad you're here today. We have a great meeting arranged for you. We're going to visit ESS Labs. Mike, our president, Mike Wexberg, will introduce our guest speaker.
All right, thank you, Chip. This is Mike Wexberg, and welcome to the second Zoom meeting for the month of March for the Los Angeles and Orange County Audio Society. So happy to be able to bring these to you. And as Chip said, today's featured guest is Ricky Caudillo from ESS Labs. Most of you know ESS is the home of the air motion transformer. And I'm sure you'll hear quite a bit about that from Ricky when he gets going. Uh, Let me start with some of the protocol for the meeting. Uh, it's best, and we would like for you to keep your audio muted while the main part of the meeting is going on, and only unmute if and when you're asked to ask a question or if we throw the meeting open for comments. But otherwise, keep muted to keep extraneous noises out of the broadcast. And you can also stop your video. That sometimes helps if there's any bandwidth issues. And that depends on your particular computer and wireless connection and so forth. So definitely keep your audio muted. So today we're hearing from ESS. I want to briefly mention our well, forgot. Before we do that, during this meeting, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions, and you can submit your questions in advance. If you hear something and a question occurs to you, the way to do that is to go down to the chat box that's at the bottom of my screen here. And it says to everyone, but instead of sending your question to everyone, please find Alan Taylor and send your questions to Alan Taylor. And when we get to the question and answer period, Alan will read your question or go through the questions if they're. Sometimes we get duplicates and things like that. So Alan will mediate that. So instead of sending questions, comments to everyone, send them to Alan Taylor. Our next meeting before we get started with this is going to be April 11th, and our guest speaker for that Zoom meeting will be Bob Carver. Bob is one of my favorite people in the audio industry and have tremendous respect for his creativity. And he's a very interesting speaker and just has a tremendous amount of knowledge. So I hope you'll join us for that meeting when it comes up. We're still going to be doing Zoom meetings for a while. I know more and more people are getting their shots. I've gotten mine, and I feel just a little bit safer due to that. And as soon as enough people in the country get their shots, we hope to be seeing uh, getting back a lot more to normal, and then maybe we'll be able to have some physical meetings. Chip Moore has lined up several more meetings coming up here later in the year. Right now, they're identified as all Zoom meetings, but if we're allowed to, we'll open them up to be physical meetings when things get better for everyone. Audio shows are starting to go forward. I talked about that last time. Nothing real positive yet, but things are moving forward. The one event that nearest term event that the LA Orange County Audio Society is involved in is CanJam SoCal, which is going to be right now September 25th and 26th. Those seem like pretty safe dates if things continue the way they have been. And that's down at the Irvine Marriott, and the society will have a room there. So hopefully we'll be able to start seeing each other face to face by CanJam, if not sooner. There are a couple of other audio shows on or about the same time. The Munich show has announced that they're going forward. I don't remember the dates. RMAF in Denver is planning to go forward in October. And then, most important, the LA Orange County Audio Society is planning to go forward with their holiday gala in early December at the Holiday Inn in Buena Park. And we hope to have a spectacular raffle there, as we always do. And we'd like to get 300 of our members at that meeting so we can all get together and have a great time. It's been a long, long time since we've been able to meet. Okay, so uh, we'll hear about ESS Labs. Part of the presentation is a short video of the factory in the LA area. There's a number of things I'm anxious to hear about from our host, Ricky Caudillo. And I want to thank Ricky for agreeing to do this. And we're anxious to learn all about the company and the products and how things work over there at ESS Labs. So he'll talk for a while, and then usually we have a short break around 3 o'clock. We may start Q&A either before that and then continue it after the break, depending on how things go. It's open. I encourage you to ask questions when the time comes. But right now, I'd like to turn it over to Ricky Caudillo. Go ahead, Ricky.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. And it's a beautiful afternoon. My name is Ricky Caudillo. I'm the CEO of ESS Labs. We are still the same company from 1972. We took a 13-year hiatus, and I'm going to try to clear up a lot of information that I hear out there in the audio industry. So we took a 15-year hiatus. We've been back for now going on 16 years. We are still the same company. I want to put out there first and foremost that we are the only officially licensed. I have a lifetime licensing agreement from Oscar Heil to ESS for life to make the Heil air motion transformer. A lot of companies are out there who have tried to duplicate us. Nobody's ever perfected us. So we are who we are. We're going to continue. It's my passion to continue this company, to move forward and continue its legacy for many, 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 many more years. We just recently moved into a new location due to the pandemic and everything else, that way things have gone, but it's actually going to be a brighter future for us. A lot of doors are opening. We are opening up a lot of different paths. So I don't know, Chip, if you want to start this video and then we could continue and see how you guys want to proceed with this.
You need to turn your sound on. Chip.
Are we ready? Ready. Rock and roll. Here we go. Can I speak as it goes? We're back. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. We'll go through, I guess, a little bit about the video. And first of all, I want to apologize. We are in some delays right now due to back order situations with some of my vendors across the United States. We're trying to play catch up, and also regards to the move to move the factory from where we were to where we're at now. Trying to set up, get production, and believe me, you pack something and you try to find it. We're still trying to search for certain things, but we are gaining ground. We are back in the production of the Hiles and the speakers. And considering with this pandemic, we actually opened up more dealers in the last 60, 90 days across the country. Um, and hopefully we're going to continue to do it. LeBron, a nice, very well connected, uh, out a salesperson for me, and he is doing a bang up job. So that's helping me a lot. We are just trying to just make our customers as happy as possible. And I apologize for the delays, um, but we are gaining, and product is starting to come out day by day. Actually, downstairs right now, here in my home, my wife is actually hand folding, hand assembling diaphragms for the Hiles that we need to get packaged and sent out to customers. But as we move on, we're going to continue. Um, a lot of things in the past where people, I guess, assume how things work here at ESS. Like I said earlier, we are the only officially licensed company.
Go ahead.
Rick, you've gone.
Yep.
Rick, you've gone on mute.
Yep, let's get him off of mute. Somebody else.
Okay, did that work?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so like we are the only officially to make the Highlander motion transformer. To clarify something is that when ESS did go hiatus for those 13 years is when the patent did run out. In that time, it ran out. And to most people, and I think a lot of people around the world or manufacturers knew that we owned the lifetime licensing agreement. to me, what I see is that's why nobody just took the Heil, went overseas, and said, "Here, make it," because they knew that we had the licensing agreement. Like I said, a lot of companies have tried to duplicate it, but nobody's ever perfected it as the air motion transformer, the dipole that we make. And when I took over, I read all the patents back and forth. I literally lived in my old facility for 2 years, teaching myself everything about the aspects of the air motion transformer and how ESS operated at that time. So I didn't want to change or recreate the wheel. All I wanted to do was improve it. And that's what we're constantly focused on, is trying to improve what's already there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if we can improve it, which we have been, things are getting better and better. We are diversifying in many areas besides the consumer electronic line. We are now moving into the pro audio or studio sector. In my old facility, we had not only a rehearsal studio, a recording studio, and a mastering studio, which I put into effect to utilize the people who create music. It's their job to create it, and I felt it's my job to reproduce it the way they wanted it. So in turn, I sort of used the sound engineers, artists, so forth and so on, as guinea pigs, if you want to call it that. But at the same token, it worked. Now our studio monitors are starting to sell like crazy. But due to their help and assistance, and we had some Grammy Award-winning artists, producers come through. You never know who would show up at my old facility. Eventually, at the new facility, I'd like to reinstall everything, but that takes time and to get it right. But we're going to continue to move forward. We are moving forward also in improving our headphone line. I've been working on the Air Motion Transformer complete one-piece Air Motion Transformer full-range headphone, which ESS had Air Motion Transformer headphone back in the late 70s, early 80s. It's called the Mark One. So I hear a lot on the industry that there's other companies that, oh, we're the first. Nobody was the first. ESS has always been the first with Air Motion Transformers. I'm recreating it by the way Oscar did it. I have Oscar's original, if you want to call it chicken scratches, notes, the way he would scribble. And I'm trying to put my mindset into what he did. When he passed away, there was a lot of things that he was working on, which he never completed. My kids call me MacGyver, my grandkids, everybody. So eventually I'm going to try to put my head into where he is, where he was, and try to complete those things. It's my passion to continue to create what this legacy of ESS has always been. I'm getting close. I mean, designing a speaker from my head to paper to my manufacturing plant, my guys, the cabinet maker, crossover guy, everybody is, I could do it in a week if I really wanted to. And it sounds amazing. When I got into the headphone line, it's a lot different. I thought it was smaller, it'd be easier. It's not. The AMT headphone that I'm working on now, it's almost taken me 3.5, 4 years, but it's almost in completion. And I think the industry is going to be very amazed of what we can do. I'm also working on some new Heils, a full range Heil. Will be a 2 diaphragm Heil that hopefully I can complete that by mid to late year. Due to the pandemic, it sort of pushes behind it with the move, but we're going to continue. One way or the other, if there's a will, there's a way. We're going to make it happen. The Heil Air Motion Transformer, was been around since '72, and some of the history behind it back in the day, and this is a story I tell all the time from other people that I talk to, my customers, is that if everybody knows the Grateful Dead's Wall of Sound and ESS, the production companies after they went on tour came to ESS and Oscar Hall designed these horns, which they used. Was it 7 years ago? I got a call from a gentleman out of New York, and he said he had inherited his great grandfather's production company, and he was down to the last warehouse, which warehouse slash barn. And in the back of the barn were all these speakers, which were horns. And he said it had your name on it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what they were. One way or the other, it was in Woodstock, New York. Made a deal with the guy and eventually paid him a pretty good price. Got them, and they were the Grateful Dead's part of their rig, their whole setup. I still have 34 of them in my warehouse. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I'm still holding on to them. Also acquired, I want to say, 8 stage monitors that were custom made by ESS for Carlos Santana. Because once he heard the horns, he loved the clarity of sound for his guitar. Some of the old history of ESS and with the main entertainment industry was Carlos Santana, Grateful Dead, Heart, Earth, Wind and Fire, Kool and the Gang, Tower Power, Earth, Wind and Fire. There's many more. For everybody who's from California and whoever went to the Griffith Park Observatory when they had the Laserium, the speakers that were in the dome were ESS AMT-1Bs that were bought straight from, I think I found out it was Pacific Stereo, right from the showroom, and put them in the dome. So that legacy of ESS, and I'm still amazed at today how many speakers are still out there. 25% of what we do at ESS is reconditioned. And what we offer is a full recone on a 10 or 12 inch. And what we offer is you send us your drivers, we deassemble them, and we demagnetize, remagnetize since we are the manufacturer. Then I know it's 100% leaving. Whether it was 100% when it came in, I know it's 100%. New voice coil, new spider, new comb, new dust cap, new surround, new tinsel leads, everything. It's a brand new speaker. And we also give you with a warranty. And I continue to do that because that's what people want. It's like a vintage vehicle. They want to keep it original. We do offer the newer drivers. I've had people drive, from different states, or they drive 4, 5, 6 hours to bring me their speakers, and we'll do a complete restoration, new veneer, go through the whole thing complete. And people are so happy. And some of the stories of people who've owned them for so many years. I had a couple from Nevada drive down. They said, we have an appointment, but we'll stop after. Came and bought some new drivers, some other components. I got a letter from his wife that after they returned home and they installed them, that she said her husband has not turned off those speakers for a week. Well, long story short, it turned out that they were coming down to City of Hope because the gentleman had cancer, and it just lit his life up. And that's one of many stories that I have heard over the years, and that's my passion. Continue to make people happy. Music makes people happy, and that's what we do with ESS. I have a team that I cannot be more blessed with to have of the quality craftsmanship that we can produce. We can move on and continue. And with the Audio Society, I don't do a lot of advertising, which I probably still should do with the new millennial generation. A lot of people have asked me why we haven't gone into all the modern stuff, Bluetooth and all that. But that's, to me, it's not what ESS, we're USA made. Down the line, I may start another company, which I'll tell you, I already have the name for it. Basically, ESS, reverse it, SSE, which would stand for Simple Solution Electronics, would be a division of ESS, so that we may get into the Bluetooth and the more modern stuff. But I'm going to continue to try to design product for the younger generation, because the younger generation are buying vinyl, even though they're buying the inexpensive audio sourcing. But we're going to try to upgrade it a little bit. We are working on a lot of projects, and we will see what we can come out with. And I use my grandkids, my kids, as information. But we'll, cause see what we do. Something new. There's always something new and different paths to go down. So what else can I say? We are going to continue. ESS is not going anywhere. Um, so anybody who's in this forum right now wants to ask a question because there's a lot of information that's out there that is not quite true. Um, but we are the original. I have spent a lot of time and effort putting a lot of registered trademarks back into effect and we'll continue to do it. Because of our protection, our legacy. I'm going to do that. So, okay, Chip, what else do I do here? I'm losing.
We're,
I'm trying to come up
we're,
with something.
we are ready for questions. Anybody that has one is free to raise your hand and unmute. And then don't forget to mute again after you ask your question. Thank you. Go ahead, Sam.
Hi, I'm new to the ESS, and I'm really impressed with what you have. The question I have is, are you considered a ribbon drivers? And if so, what's the difference between the conventional driver versus yours?
Okay, well, I guess over the time and everything, there's different terminologies. We got ESS is an air motion transformer. Then there's ribbon tweeters. There's, the electrostatic, all this other stuff. I guess we sort of got put into what they would be considered a folded ribbon. Um, Ours is the way it's folded like an accordion, and with the magnet structure, the way it forces energy to the center, and it has the electronic circuit in it, which is mylar and aluminum. What it does is it squeezes sound, and the way ours is a dipole, which squeezes so fast, and it shoots it out of both sides. Um, the surface area. So if you see a dome tweeter, that's let's say a 1 inch, but ours in reality is like having 8 of them, 8 dome tweeters, because our surface area is much larger capacity, which gives you such clarity and and no distortion. You know, it to me is like I always say, the louder it gets, the better it sounds. So hopefully that answers your question.
One more follow-up.
Sure.
How low in frequency can you go with such a driver?
Okay, we make 3 sizes at this point. We make a large, which is the great Heil, and then we make a medium, and then we make a small. 3 different diaphragms. The large one, which our sweet spot or what we recommend, is 800 hertz. I have literally got it down to 600 hertz. Not a lot of power, but 600, and it worked. It did sound good. But the sweet spot and the normal, the work operational perfect, 800 hertz, and it goes up to 29K. Okay.
Yeah, I think you've answered the question that came in earlier, but
Thank you.
Bill, are you here? Would you like to ask? I don't see you, but if you're here, go ahead and ask away. Bill Felt.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just curious. Maybe you've already mentioned it, but how in general, if you can go full range with a single driver, that would probably be ideal. Maybe not practical, but then as you said, you went down to 800 on, I guess, the big design, and 600 you said is possible, but you lose power. So I was just kind of curious about trade-offs as you go lower, and then if you have your small, medium, and large transducers, are those different cutoff points as well?
Yeah, well, the largest sweet spot is 800. The medium is around 1200, and the small 2500.
Okay, and then you pass it off to mid-range, or just pass it off to a woofer at that point?
Well, the medium you could pass it off to a woofer. It depends on what you're after, but the medium you could go pass it off to a mid-range to a woofer. The small would definitely go mid-range woofer.
Okay.
Although in our setups, what I do is because we have one right now. It's called the LE6, which is I call the mini me. If everybody knows out there, the pyramid AMT 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, the pyramid, I came out with what I call the mini me, which is looks like the same cabinet, everything except it has a front firing 6-inch with a down firing 6-inch, and it has a small height, and that's still a two-way. But the way I did the voice coils on the drivers, and I also did it on the 10-inch and the 12-inch in our existing product line, is after reviewing everything in what the pros and cons, what I read everything that I could find on the internet, was that everybody said the high was too fast for the woofer. So when I redid the woofer, I rewound the coil so it has more of a natural roll off to meet up with the high. And that's the way I designed my woofers so that I continue to manufacture a two-way using our air motion transformers.
Okay, great. And one other question which just kind of came to mind is what sort of crossover slopes are appropriate for your drivers, or is there anything unique about your drivers and crossover slopes?
You know what? I would say the air motion transformers are very forgiving. They marry very well with a lot of different crossover slopes, 6 dB, 12 dB. I haven't heard anybody tell me anything different.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
barely.
I had a question on your two larger speakers. You've got the traditional pyramid and you have the new design like the one behind you. Is there any reason to choose one over the other?
Not really. And that was sort of in making the limited edition, which is the pyramid. But then that's when everybody, well, the younger generation, something more modern. So basically, the AMT 12 and the limited edition are, if you want to call it, the interior, the cubic space for the driver, cubic, everything is the same. The only thing is we wrapped it different and gave it this new modern
Thank you. I've noticed you've got the wood sides around the driver. Does that affect the dispersion at all, or are they basically equivalent inside the limited edition?
look. Well, no, on the AMT 12 versus the limited edition.
Yeah, there's wood, you know, on the top around making a frame around the Heil driver, and
Well, on the AMT, well,
limited
this is
edition.
the one behind me is an AMT look, AMT 12 look. But the one behind me, I raised it 12 inches larger than the AMT 12, and I did that for vinyl storage. But on the side, hold on, it is. Oh, well, that one is supposed to, yeah, and it doesn't make a difference really. It doesn't. I have tried it, and I actually like them both.
Okay, I've seen your speakers at shows before, including your Transtar. That was a really interesting speaker.
Yeah, the Transar. We want to talk about the Transar, and you saw in the video in the beginning. That is the newer version that I've been working on. That one, if anybody paid attention or saw it, that has that Grateful Dead Wall of Sound horn in it, and I curved the wall from the original design.
and I added 3 10-inch dipole subwoofers on the bottom. So a whole complete system is dipole from the 3 12-inch, the 3 10-inch subwoofers on the bottom, the transar section in the middle, and then the horn. The horn, believe it or not, is still dipole. It's open in the back.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Next question.
You mentioned putting together speakers for industry.
Right.
Do you also supply to folks who are doing do-it-yourself kind of project?
We do a big market is DIYers. Um, Believe it or not, we also had a good run, and I don't know, because of the pandemic, it sort of slowed down. But we had the clips industry, the clips market, the DIYers. I sold so many Hiles to clips people, taking out their horns and putting Hiles instead. I don't know if anybody else in this group have seen that, but they love them. I've had guys buy and stack 2. So we do a lot in the DIY industry, a lot. Overseas, we do a big number. Germany, Italy, France. I just got an order for 20 Hiles going to Italy. So the DIY market is very big. And then also in the video, there's a couple, which my guy put them there. We have a couple smaller Hiles that I'm coming out with. I'm still, but they're going to be monopole, which I really don't want to do. But for studio monitors, other avenues we're going down, I decided to do it. So I'm just finishing them up. I'm going to make a small and a large monopole, so it can be front loaded easily. Also for pro audio. I've been getting a lot of requests, believe it or not, because of the clarity of the voice for religious venues, churches, synagogues, all that. Because I guess the way I could put it is, when the preacher's up there, the whole key factor is to get the word out. And in most places of worship anybody's gone to, a lot of times you go in there and it echoes. So now we're getting a lot of input from religious places to make ESS Heil monitors for the clarity.
If I could jump in here,
Sure.
I had a question coming off of Bill Felt's question there about the crossovers, and I think he was alluding to the question of whether the your driver is amenable to sharp, I'll say steep crossovers, or whether it is more beneficial with a more gradual, crossover.
I like the gradual versions, if you want to call it that way. It's a smooth cross transition over. I've noticed I personally still would prefer the passive crossover versus electronic crossover. But at the same token, it works on both. It's very liberal on both sides. But I continue to use the passover crossovers and smooth transition.
And the other question is just more kind of theoretical here. Your driver is a constant width from top to bottom there. Have you ever experimented with, I'll say, kind of a flange on the bottom where the folds get wider towards the bottom in order to increase the lower frequency limit?
It's almost like similar to what I'm working on now, which we're toying with, which is what I call it's multifold. So the left and the right start larger, and as it gets to the middle, will get thinner.
And that gives you greater bandwidth that way, or?
That's the way it's working for me right now.
Oh,
there's other versions I'm working on. Like I said earlier, I'm working on a full range Heil, but we'll have 2 diaphragms. One will be for low frequency, one will be for the mid-high frequency. But right now, with, again, manufacturers, especially in the plastics and the steel industry, they're so backed up and trying to get samples. Even the 3D printing didn't come out the way I liked it, even though that's new technology. Um, I'm trying different methods versus injection molded plastic to different stuff, to wood. We're trying everything to make the casing so I could do the motor structure to do a final test away. But right now, it's working.
That's good. It sounds like you're alive and kicking there.
We little by little, I do, believe it or not, I do most of that my tinkering around here at home because that's where I could clear my head.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, Rick, there's more interest in your headphones. Could you expand the difficulties, the pleasures, the pain going forward?
And the existing or the future?
Hey,
Start with
open it up.
existing.
Existing.
Existing. So, so many years ago, I mean, everybody said, get in the headphone market. All right. So I did. At that point, I wasn't up to the level of the air motion technology in a headphone, even though I have the original ESS headphones. But at that time, what I did was I just worked on a dynamic driver, and I wanted to continue using the wood cans. So I came out with the first model, which was our ESS RLM 713, which was very, very well received at that point. And I designed it back and forth in the driver to give it the sound that ESS was known for. Very well balanced sound. And that's what ESS is known for. Not bass heavy, mid, or high. It was just well balanced. So that's what we came out with. And that gave me time to continue to try to develop the next generation, which is our 422H, which is our hybrid, which has air motion technology and a dynamic driver. Because again, in all this headphone industry, it seems that everybody went bass heavy. Where's the bass? That's all I kept hearing when I made it flat. Where's the bass? So I had to go back, redo it. And so using the air motion technology, it's a two-way. And again, we have a lot of Grammy Award winning artists and producers, and they love it. Some of the faults, not the faults, but some of the things that I hear in the industry. Hold on, trying to grab one here. Hold on. I have it right here. Here we go. 422H. Okay. Now, everybody's that I hear, I don't know if you guys, but everybody says it's very heavy. These things weigh less than a pound. I've heard people say, oh, it's a pound and a half. I think it's me, my personal opinion, because I think they're not heavy at all. I think because they see it's wood and they see it looks like metal, I think it's just like that people think it's going to be heavy, but they're not. So, and then everybody says it's very tight. Well, first of all, we sort of made them tight so that it can adapt to everybody's different heads. So, and I just tell people it's simple. All you do is just take it, do this, and you're good. It just loosened it up a lot, So, but there's no perfect headphone out there. I'm not saying we're the perfect. There's not. Everybody has different ears, different sources, different music. Now, the one thing I have noticed, and this is what I'm offering to everybody, and I'm going to put it out there more, is since it is a two-way, the air motion technology is up on the top and the dynamic driver is at the bottom. I've been with the producers and artists and stuff like that. So a lot of people have a tendency right away, they want to do this and put them behind the head. That ain't going to work. The way this is designed, they have to come on straight. So you get the vertical, just like a speaker, tweeter at the top, woofers at the bottom. So, but then I'm finding out people have different, I don't know, ear canals, or everybody's different. So with a customer, he says, oh, I don't like the way they sound. So I just jokingly, I said, put them this way. And he flipped them upside down because now the tweeters at the bottom, woofers at the top. Down low, that's what I want. That's the perfect sound I want. All right. Send them to me. I flipped them for him. Happy camper. So there's a difference in having the two-way driver. So what we're also offering, which anybody wants to buy one and they want to hear them, Chip, you guys try it. Try it this way and try it that way. See what you like better. So we're also offering, and I've done for many of my customers, is it has the 3.5 millimeter cord. Okay. But I have, for an additional small charge, send them to us. And what I have done is I have made them balanced and add another 3.5 on the other side. Customers can send me their cable with the, if they tell me what the wiring is or if it's common, but I could convert the 422s to a balance set. So we can do that. My joke to all my customers from in all aspects of what ESS is we're like Burger King. You can have it your way. You tell me what you want, and we adapt. And that's what we do. So now I'm working on the new air motion transformer headphone, which, like I said, will be coming out. Yes, I'm looking at weight because everybody seems to say they're heavy. So we're going to cosmetically and try to optical illusion and training aluminum and other particles to make it a little lighter. Like I said, this one, and anybody can weigh it, is less than a pound. So that's part of that headphone issue. But, that's what we do. We do offer also a headphone transmitter, a receiver transmitter. And it's nothing. Because some people, I want Bluetooth. Okay. It's very inexpensive. They call and order it. Hey, I want Bluetooth. Okay. It's just a little adapter. You unplug the cord, you plug this adapter in. Now they're Bluetooth for traveling or whatever. And like I tell people, the sound quality is not going to be there. And to me, if something goes wrong with that little adapter, hey, throw it in the trash. I'll send you another. Instead of sending me the whole headphones back. That's why I didn't incorporate Bluetooth into our headphones. That's what I do. I want the sound quality and people to enjoy what they receive from ESS. All right, next question.
So, Rick, on headphones, headphone amps are in. They're either really required for some headphones or they're pushed as if they're required, but they're everywhere out there. What's your opinion on headphone amps?
Yes.
What's your opinion on the amp relative to yours?
Relative to mine, I made them so that they're very efficient, that you can run them off of a tablet, and phones. I use Channel Lightness audio headphone amplifier, which I love. I also use a tube headphone amplifier. They're fine. They work great. I mean, again, it's what people want. What's going to make their ears enjoy what they're hearing, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I've actually got a pair of the old AMT1 towers back from 1974. Still enjoying them.
The AMT1 tower, which is the cloth wraps around three sides, has the one on the top, one on the bottom.
That's the one.
It's the only speaker that ESS ever did with the transmission line.
Yeah. Still enjoying that, but I'm just curious, how has the Heil driver changed since 1974? It looks a lot alike.
It looks a lot alike. Partially, the original diaphragm was made out of Teflon, and I'll go back to something which I should have said. I brought up a long time ago. Is you guys are going to have. So anyway, back in the day, most of the crossover networks and the electronics, ESS did make amplifiers and preamps. Two of the gurus in the audio industry worked for ESS. Bob Carver and Nelson Pass. Nelson Pass actually met his wife at ESS, and she was in charge of quality control for all the diaphragms. And back then, the diaphragms were made out of Teflon, and then they converted over to mylar.
A short period of time, they did use Kapton, the yellowish. And for some reason, why ESS started making, even though it was dipole, they started doing a single-sided circuit. And like I said, I read all the patents and everything when to prove and to improve. So after I noticed they were doing single-sided, I went back and I redid the diaphragm, and I went back to using a double-sided circuit versus a single-sided circuit. So that's one improvement. We raised the gauze magnetic field in the magnetic structure. And by a fluke, if everybody looks at the older Hiles versus the newer Hiles, there's a little wedge in the middle because ESS never branded anything. So I was just, again, MacGyvering, and I made this little wedge to put the ESS logo. So I put one at the bottom, and I said, nah, don't look good. So I put one at the top, and let's put them all the way around in the centers. And that's when my sound engineer came out and said, believe it or not, but you just helped the vertical dispersion because now it sort of acts like a horn. So that's another improvement. So we have improved it, even though it looks the same, there is those improvements.
This is Bill Grays. Quick question for you.
Sure.
I saw a couple of months ago when I visited a friend of mine, he had a pair of, I believe it might, instead of ESS, it might have said RSS speakers, nice looking stand mounts, or not stand mounts, but larger bookshelf speakers.
Right. Uh-huh.
Is that related to you guys, or was that some other company, or maybe somebody else in the group might know?
No, it had a Heil in it.
I don't know. He didn't take the.
Oh, no.
They sounded good.
Oh, unless you know it had a Heil in it, but from way back, ESS, back in the 70s and 80s, they had multiple companies, and a lot of their product may have looked similar, but not identical, because they would private label some stuff for certain, back then, smaller audio chain stores across the country. Here in California, which everybody knows, we had Pacific Stereo, University Stereo, Federated Group, Now Sound, Leo Stereo. So everybody would, similar, not identical, because the competition could be right across the street. We had many names. ESS had, Ultralinear. Another name was Canon. Then there was a Tempest series. There was, I think, 7 or 8 different names. I can't remember them all at this time. We continue to service all of them as much as we can. But yeah, there was a lot of names. Okay. But unless you know it has a Heil, for sure, then I could probably tell you that yes, it was, or it was a private label. I just had a company from back east, chain store back there. It was similar to your tower, except they added a mid-range, but it had the Heil.
Huh. Okay. And that brings back, and I'm Pacific Stereo concept receiver collector, if you will. I have a whole
that was another line.
Is that what they use in their speakers?
Concept. Yes, that was another brand name of ESS. Was a concept series, the CE1, CE2.
Right. Those were Heil.
Yes.
Drivers. Okay.
And that was on the concept series. They used what I call the half Heil. The large Heil, the medium, and the small that we're making now consists of 4 magnets. So they're V-shaped. So if you look at it from the top, it looks like a bow tie. So you have 2 magnets, so it looks like a bow tie. The concept series used what I call the half Heil, which was a magnet this way, and then flat on top. So it's 45, 45, and then the magnet will give it that look. And it was called what I call a half Heil.
Okay. Very interesting. I don't have any of those speakers. I wish I did.
There's some out there. There's some out there, and it never ceases to amaze me. Every day somebody calls me and tells me they found these at a yard sale. They found them at an estate sale.
Right.
But the value from what I see in the resale value, ESS speakers are still up there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Not a problem.
Yes. What models do you have that you're producing now, and what are the approximate list prices?
Well, we
And
range right now.
do you have a brochure?
Just what's online. We with the move. I should have came out with the new 2021 brochure, but that's in the process of we're moving, so I didn't have time. We are working on a brochure, an actual brochure, but we're trying to update the website as fast as we can. Um, it will be changing, but right now we have the little mini series. Like I said, the LE6 and the RM-2. The LE6, like I said, is modeled after the pyramid, AMT1A, B, C, and D. The RM-2 is modeled after what everybody used to like also was called the rock monitor, the rectangular one with two 12-inch drivers, but this has two 6-inch drivers with the small dial. And we're starting out at $1,200 all the way up to, well, the AMT limited edition and AMT 12 are $44.95 a pair. Ladies and gentlemen, it's coming up on 3 o'clock, but Mike Wexberg has an announcement to make before then, and then we will put us on pause and stop the recording and take a 5-minute break. So, Mike, could you take over from here?
Yeah, just a brief bit of business that we do for these meetings. But before I do that, I forgot to mention in my introductory remarks that today is Rich Revel's 90th birthday. Rich is our senior executive vice president and most revered member, and a great help to me. He puts out the emails, and he's really attained a wonderful milestone. And I know you all wish him many, many more and best wishes. So happy birthday, Rich. Hope you're enjoying this little birthday present. One other thing, Ricky, just for you for
Sure.
joining the society for this meeting. By the powers vested in me by the board of directors of the Los Angeles and Orange County Audio Society, I hereby make you a lifetime member of the society with all the rights and privileges.
Thank you.
And Alan Taylor is our keeper of the lifetime members, and he squires them and takes care of them. And
Thank you so much.
he will get you a one of our gold badges of honor and get it into your hands at first opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us for this meeting.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chip.
Just a reminder for those who won't be here after the break, we're going to be with Bob Carver on April 11th, which is going to be great. So let me pause the recording and let's be back at 3:05. We're back and welcome to you. Go right ahead. There must be another question out there. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, I've got a question in here. Maybe some of this was covered before, Rick, but let's see here. My recollection from the old days, speak for yourself, is that the Heil drivers required, and we talked a little bit about this, god awful huge amounts of power. I just mentioned I had a Krell, but he mentions a big crown amp whimpering under the demands.
Well, you know, I guess they're very efficient. The original ones were 92 dB. We're up to 95 dB right now. And I have actually had some with this, depending on the circuitry, I got it up to 96 dB efficiency. I have people tell me that they've run it off of small, like 5-watt tube amps, and they sound amazing. In my showroom, I run a 35-watt per channel Techniques receiver. I picked up a secondhand store for $20, and they sound amazing. But I also have the high end, monoblock amps, Class D, and I use tube amps. They sound great on anything. They're very power efficient.
So what do you have those hooked to, Rick? What do you play it with?
Right now, the system I have behind me are running off of channel line is audio 100 watt per channel monoblocks.
Nice.
And you know they are rated. They are what we make is a forum. They're forum impedance, but I am now offering 8 ohm impedance for the DIY market.
Where do you stand on cables, speaker cables?
You know, and maybe speaker cables. You know, and being in a manufacturer, people send me stuff all the time. Try this cable, try that cable, try this. Me personally, because again, I'll go back to what my kids call me MacGyver. I have had high-end cables that are supposed to be the best, and I ran down to Home Depot, got me some 16 gauge, low voltage outdoor wiring, tried it, A-beat it, and the amount of difference I heard wasn't really anything. It's cables are cables. You know, what works for everybody, that's what people are going to use.
Anyone want to comment on that one?
I'm sorry, that's just the way but you know, I don't hear that big of a difference because to me, because ours are very efficient, they don't need a lot of power to drive them, and they sound amazing.
Gotcha. And the affordability factor, you want to talk about that? I mean, we see high-end speakers, and there's a lot of them over there, over 100K, right?
Right. And that thought, I guess there's a lot of put into it for cosmetics. I'm sure they spent a lot of time and effort on the sound of it, but I think it's more because I have friends who I have a friend who just recently, right before the pandemic, spent $90,000 on a pair of speakers, and we had this discussion of why didn't you come to me? But at his caliber, where he's at, it's more of the status.
Gotcha.
Because he can. Yeah. But then I got people who are very, very, very well off to do. Like the gentleman earlier had this Macintosh. I had this one gentleman up in the Nevada area. He has, I would say, a wall of about 20 amps, all Macintosh, from older vintage stuff to the newer stuff. In each one of his rooms, he has my speakers, different varieties of ESS speakers through his whole house, including the master bathroom. You go in the bathroom, there's a set of ESS speakers. He has his house wired, so he knows exactly what zone or what he could do anything. He actually purchased 3 years ago, if anybody knows the history of Vegas, Bugsy Siegel's compound.
Wow.
Wow.
And redid the whole compound, everything. So like I said, this guy's but he could have any speaker he wants, but he is a fanatic of mine, and he has ESS speakers through his whole house.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I have some fanatics. At some stores I hear. One gentleman out of Illinois, he was fined, I think he said a total of about $170,000, and finally went to court, and they gave him Fridays from 12 to 3 hours that he could blast his music as loud as he wants, only on Fridays. I was recoding a lot of his drivers. I would do maybe about two pairs every other month. He'd send me his drivers to recode because he blew them out, because he would just, so we had to recalculate and redo, make them a little bit more umphy. I actually haven't heard from him in a while, so I guess he's doing okay, but I have fanatics. There's a whole lot of fanatics.
Speaking of power, how much power do you need to drive your speakers at a minimum? I guess is the way to ask that question.
Well, a minimum, depending on what type of style of amplifier you're using. Like I said, I have on a tube amp, a gentleman out of Washington. He drives it with the 5 watt uh, tube amplifier, and he says he's fine with that. A regular amp, 30, 35 watts minimum clean power, you're fine. They could take up to 225 watts per channel at a full speaker, is what they're rated at.
And one other question just came in. Where are you moving from and to in terms of your shop?
Oh, we were located in South Elm. Originally, it was Sacramento, and then after we moved that 15 years ago, we moved it down to Southern California, to South El Monte, California. We were there for 15 years, and now we moved to LA. In reality, from where we're at now, South El Monte to where we're at now, driving wise, maybe a 15-minute drive more west than where we were.
Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah. What do you think is your sweet spot in your speaker line as far as your value? As far as someone who wanted to keep their entire rig investment under, say, like $10,000 for everything, including source components and everything.
Well,
Mid-sized room, average tract house under, say, 1,500 cubic feet.
So right now, I'm finding, because condominiums, smaller houses or whatever, my main seller right now is like the AMT10, that and my center channel, and whatever source they want, whatever source units they're buying, whether it's home theater or just for 2-channel sound. I have a lot of customers who purchase the AMT limited edition or the AMT 12s and our center channel for the home theater / listening music. And those seem to be the packages that people are buying the most. The new LE6s, the mini me's, those are starting to sell very well for me for smaller condominium style homes. And they just add it. Some people say they don't need a subwoofer. Some people just add maybe a little subwoofer if they want a little bit more bottom end.
Yeah, it sounds like those would be really successful in those smaller spaces for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the 12 was 4,500 a pair.
Yeah, $44.95 a pair.
And that's for the full size one. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How low did those go?
Those go down very low. We use the 12-inch driver, the new improved driver, and I use on the back, the original ESS speakers used a flat foam disc passive. I upgraded it to the back to using a cone passive. So that really brought in the subsonics.
Oh wow. Okay. So you're talking well below 40 hertz, sometimes even lower depending on the room average.
Depending on the room and the distance from the wall, I recommend 18 inches from the wall, but depending on your situation, minimal 12 inches.
Okay, yeah, because otherwise you'll just build a boom box. That won't be very good. So anyway, just wanted to ask, the 10, what are those about? 3,000 for the 10? The AMT?
1,000 less than the 12, the 3,400.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you still get most of the foundation for a little bit less money.
Yeah, I'm working on a new one. Came up earlier in the conversation of the concept series.
Oh, okay.
Which the concept series, their whole premise was the CE1 used a 10-inch driver with the 12-inch passive. Then the CE2 used a 12-inch driver with, it was a weird size 14.5-inch passive radio. So what I just designed one that it's like they're small, they stand about maybe 30 inches tall with the Heil on top. And then I'm using a 10-inch driver with a 12-inch passive, modeled after the concept theory. And those probably going to go for, I think I was pricing those around 3,200 a pair.
Okay, so still well within reach for most investments.
Yeah, and those have a big sound. They almost have the sound of the 12-inch.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was impressed.
then let's see, I had another question and I can't remember what it
Sure.
was, but my senility's got the best of me. But I appreciate everything. I hope things keep going great for you guys. This is great.
No,
Thank
not a problem. Thank you so much for supporting ESS and continuing. We're here to service our customers. Whatever we can do.
It's been fun to watch you evolve over the years. I remember Leo Stereo walking in and enjoying them back then. So.
Well, just for everybody's purpose, Leo Stereo, the owner is Leo David.
Oh wow, that's cool.
He purchased ESS in the late '70s when he found out that that ESS was on the verge of going bankrupt. Because at that point, Leo had 36 stores, I think.
Yeah, he was doing well back then. Yes.
And he was buying a lot from ESS, so he flew up to Sacramento on the steps of the bankruptcy court. He bought ESS, and he's still the owner.
Oh, that's good. Hopefully, he treats you guys well.
Oh, he's an amazing person. I have been so blessed. The fact that he's given me this opportunity to run this company.
That's awesome. That's good. It's so much more fun doing what you love. It's just
this is my passion.
Which makes it all the more fun.
Oh yes. Now my wife, she's at first she wasn't into it, but now she's the one. Like I said, she's the one who folds a diaphragm. Well, she does more. She folds a diaphragm. She makes a diaphragms. She does so much with me at the office. When we were moving, this woman decided. She says, "I'm not afraid. What do you need?" She learned how to drive the forklift, and she was actually helping me load 53-foot containers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, anyway, someone else speak, because I feel like I'm in the center of the room, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway.
Any other questions out there?
Quick question. When this pandemic, it was Bill Graves, when the pandemic is over with to the point where we can travel again and go places, is it possible to go to your factory, or do you have like showrooms where we can audition the various models kind of thing?
Of course, like I said, we're like Burger King. You can have it your way.
Okay.
So Rick, we're going to give Chip Moore the action item to follow up with you to arrange a meeting and a factory tour with a bunch of wild audio members. You may never be the same.
And we've always had an open door policy. To come. Yeah, we have people. Even now, we've had a couple customers come by that have come by to drop off speakers under all the mask, the temperature, and all that other good stuff. Social distancing, but no, I mean, it's not a problem.
Oh, good.
Ricky, what we'll plan to do is this time of year next year, hopefully everything's open, we'll come out and see you.
Would be my honor.
Sounds like fun. I live up in the Central Coast, and it'd be nice to be able to go someplace again.
Yeah, little by little, we're going to get back to normal, but meantime, hopefully everybody has their rigs at home and listening to some great music and enjoying life, that we're still around and we're still enjoying music. Like I said, that's my passion, to make people happy, enjoying quality music the way music was meant to be heard.
It's got us through. Got us all through.
That's right. Thank you.
Any other questions or any other definitions or clarity? Like I said, we're the only company that have the lifetime licensing agreement. There's a lot of registered trademarks that put into effect. And we're here. We're not going nowhere. We're the original in the subject.
There was one here to everyone about showing us the components of the AMT, Rick.
The components of the AMT?
Correct.
If anybody could go back to the video, the components as far as the AMT, being the actual driver and everything, or just the AMT itself?
I don't know. It's not specific.
Okay.
Uh, in the video, it does show the diaphragm, and in the video, it also shows the motor structure, the magnets of the high out in the production that I'm doing right now in the video. Let's go ahead and do, Ricky. I'll go ahead and do that, and you can sort of talk over it. Oh, okay. All right. So this is the new facility. This is that's our headphones. That is a showroom area. That is the Transar with the Grateful Dead's Wall of Sound horn that I put in it. If you guys can see that. That's the production AMT 12 that we got ordered for. That's the new Alley 2, the RM2. That's the little mini one, modeled after the rock pilot. That's the Alley 6, which is the little mini me. Started facing forward and a down firing 6 with a small eye on top. That's part 3 where we do our reconditioning. There's the diaphragm being assembled. That's what my wife does. That's the 2 new monopole AMPs that I'm going to be producing. These are just recones that my guys are doing. There he is, inserting a new diaphragm in an older AMP air motion transformer. That's the workbench on the outside. That's what I still have to unpack. That's what I have to unpack still. There's the workbench again. And that's the focus plates right there. That's the plastic housing. There's the focus plates that we use. That's the motor structure with the magnets. Takes 2 of those halves to make 1. That's the magnetizer for the Heil. It's the only one in the world. And that's the Heils when they're all assembled. That's the final piece right there. Cabinets we're making for some customers, the studio monitors. Those are custom made. These are the small Heil. That's the 12-inch driver there to the right. That's our fiddle, but you can't see it. These are just some prototypes that I made over the years. Those are the LE6 that we just got to ship to Germany. That's ready for there's a big AMT limited edition there. Those are ready to go off the door to our new dealers that we just recently opened up in the United States. That's the LE6 again. And these are just some. Those were well, no, that's okay. Anyway, yeah, but that's some of the components of the ESS.
Thank you, Rick.
Very good.
So here's a question. How loud does your wife let you turn that system up at home?
Our systems. So, like Sunday afternoon, sometimes I'll turn this system on, the one downstairs, and then the one in the garage, and then the one in the backyard. We all have on the same radio station.
Nice.
We both enjoy music, and that's we just enjoy it. So we listen to music all the time.
Great.
Which when this meeting is over, she's got my nice cold beer downstairs. We'll sit on the back patio and call it a good afternoon, and then get ready to go back to work tomorrow.
Good deal. Chip?
Okay, we're coming up on 3:30. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your attendance, and I hope that you will plan on keeping on coming back, because we want to produce interesting and informative
and fun events for you. So thanks, Ricky. It's been a great day. If you have questions for us, this is the time to ask them. Otherwise, I'll stop the recording and then we'll just stay on as long as anybody wants to, just to chat.
But like anybody out there, and pass it on to your friends. But anytime anybody has any questions, call me. I answer my phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, thank you all.